We're just going to get started. So the topic for today's workshop will be college fit check. And the main question that we'll be keeping in mind today is, how should I build my college list and how can I know if the school is right for me? So before going over the workshop overview, I'm going to take a minute to introduce myself. Hi, my name is Amanda. I'm a sophomore at Columbia studying civil engineering. I'm also the coach that you guys have been texting. We also have our moderator Julian here today who will be responding to the comments and also like sending relevant links in the chat. Um, He just said hi in the chat. Okay, so now we're gonna go over the workshop. So we've already completed the welcome and icebreaker. Next, we'll be going through things like what makes a good school, the process of crafting a college list, and also defining some buzzwords like fit and match that you might have heard from like your guidance counselors, for example. We'll also talk about building towards your college success by exploring college supports and fits as well as like the transition core plus program, and then we'll have a closing after that. Okay, so as we have in the past, today we'll have a $20 raffle card that you can win. It's a Tango gift card, so you can spend it at a bunch of different places. And today you can earn up to 2 raffles, depending on how many of the things listed here you do. So there are going to be lots of different opportunities for you guys to reflect and share your thoughts on some of the topics that we talk about today. So you'll have plenty of chances to win a raffle, and the winner will be announced after the workshop via email or text. Okay. And as a reminder, every workshop that you guys attend will also give you 1 point towards the grand prize raffle, where the top prize is a $100 certificate, which is really exciting. We'll be having 3 winners for our grand prize raffle, and the largest prize will be 100, followed by 75 and $50. And these winners will be announced at the end of the year. Obviously, we're gonna need your names for this to happen. So if your first and last name aren't at the top of your Zoom window, please either update this or message your name to Julian. And yeah. Okay. So we're just gonna get started now. We're gonna talk about what makes a good school. Um, so we're gonna be asking ourselves questions like, what does a good school truly mean? And obviously, if you ask a variety of people, you'll encounter many different opinions. Okay, so let's just first take 2 minutes to reflect on what a good school or college is. And I'd just like write this down on like a piece of paper, like your notes app or something like that. But let's just think about that for 2 minutes and then we'll come back and then kind of have a share. Okay, I think it's been 2 minutes. So would anyone like to either come off of mute or like chat in like what their definition of a good school is? Someone said, a good college means finding a supportive community where I can explore my passions, grow personally and academically, and prepare for a successful future. It's a place where I feel challenged, inspired, and valued. Wow, that's a really, really thorough definition. Thank you so much for sharing. Um, would anyone else like to share? Okay, Tyler said, whatever school teaches you the things that you want for a price you can afford, at least in my opinion. Okay, that's a good definition as well. Celine said, I would say a variety of diverse and in-depth classes, community involvement and support, and a good student to teacher ratio. Cool. Thank you guys for sharing. Um, and notice how each person had a slightly different definition of what good meant to them. And that's exactly how it should be. Good can be as subjective as what a favorite meal would be, because what matters to each of us is different. Okay, someone else said a place specialized and able to help find and pursue a desired career. Grace says one that offers one-on-one help, quality learning, and a friendly environment. Cool. Yeah. So as I said, everyone had a slightly different definition because the word good is very subjective, and that's exactly why we put it in quotation marks. Thank you guys for sharing. Okay, so as I was saying, good equals good for you. So there are many motivators that go into deciding what a good school might be for you, and these include external and internal motivators. So some internal motivators can include following your passions, gaining new experiences, a higher earning potential, and being a role model for others. And external motivators include friends and family's desires for you, school prestige, higher earning potential, and social expectations. So obviously, everyone has different goals, priorities, values, and experiences. So a school that seems good to one person might not seem good to another, and that's what's so awesome about it. We get to decide for ourselves what makes a good school. And as I said before, our definition of good can internal or external factors or even a combination. It's completely normal to have both internal and external motivators, or like a nice overlapping would also make sense, but finding a school that aligns with what motivates you the most will help ensure a good fit and your successful completion of college. Internal motivators are shown to have a greater impact on long-term success, so I would pay extra attention to those. And I'd also like to address the fact that, like, I'm sure you guys have heard or learned to associate a good school with being like a top 20 school, for example. But just because a school is like extremely selective or is a top 20 school, for example, doesn't necessarily make it a good school for you, because we all want to attend schools that will cater to our own academic, personal, and social needs. And sometimes these top 20 schools just like might not be able to do that for us. Um, like for example, for me, a good school was one that had a really strong engineering program, but was still very humanities focused, because like I love writing and the arts, and that's not something I wanted to give up just because I wanted to pursue a career in engineering or STEM. So, just like taking a glance at like the definitions that you guys have posted in the chat, like we have very, very different definitions of what a good school is. Okay, great. So now we're going to move on to building a college list, and we're going to talk to you about the most important features of any college list and the 5 steps that you guys can take to build yours. We'll also do some reflecting on what's important to you personally and talk about what to do if you want things different from your loved ones. Basically, the goal is to set you up with like a general understanding of how to go about building and refining a college list. And we'll also be sure to like send resources over the next few weeks that will help you guys take steps towards actually achieving this. Okay. Can I please get a volunteer to read this slide?
What type of school am I looking for? What do I want my college life to look like? How does my academic profile compare to the average student at a school of interest?
Thanks, Erin. Okay, so to summarize what Erin has said, fit refers to the overall like compatibility between a school and college, whereas match is more focused on like looking at the numbers and making sure that like as an applicant, like the GPA, the SAT grades basically match up to the standards of the standards of the school. Um, and below we've put some reflection questions, and these are just like some examples of how you guys can begin to think about these terms and how they can apply to list building. In this next section, we'll be diving a little bit more deeply into fit and match individually and how you can balance them in building your college list. Okay, so first let's define fit. A fit school is a college that aligns with your needs, interests, values, and preferences. So some of these factors could be academic interest, campus culture, learning accommodations, cost, things like that. The key is to be one, clear about what you want, and two, willing to research each school that you're interested in. Okay, and match schools are schools where your profile matches or exceeds that of the average admitted student in factors such as GPA, SAT, ACT test scores. It basically refers to how likely you are to actually get into that school. Um, it's also important to note that like you might be below these averages to a certain extent and still be a match. Your academic and student profile may show other strengths that colleges value. So this is literally just about comparing your GPA with the GPA of average students admitted at a school, which is something that's like very easy to do. Like you can just Google this. Um, Community colleges are usually less selective and don't require minimum GPA or test scores to get in, like some programs within a community college. However, like nursing schools, nursing programs within the community college like may have their own standards, and that's something you'd want to look into if you're interested in attending a community college, but for the most part, they're less selective and they don't require a minimum GPA or test score. Match factors like GPA and test scores are only one part of your whole application. So, as I mentioned in the last bullet, like it's okay if you're slightly below in terms of the numbers because admission teams are going to be reviewing your whole profile and they'll be able to look at like your other strengths, like your extracurriculars, for example. Okay, can I get someone else to read this slide, please?
I can read it.
Thanks.
Okay. Academic match supports you in getting accepted into college. Fit supports you in graduating.
Thank you. Okay. So, why do you guys think FIT might support you in graduating? Or why do you think we said what we said in this slide? And you guys can like feel free to like type it into the chat or unmute yourself. Celine says it assesses our personal needs more thoroughly. Okay, that's a really good way of putting it. Does anyone else have any other ideas?
You probably won't stay at a school if you're not enjoying it, and it's more for the enjoyment of your school career.
Exactly. Thanks for sharing that. Okay. Yeah, basically what you guys said. I think FIT caters more to like a school where you actually be happy in. And at the end of the day, like as Tyler said, like if you're not actually happy at a school, like like your odds of graduating kind of go down and like the whole point of going to college and like getting a higher education is to kind of finish your degree and like be successful, and going to a fit school can actually help you guys do that. Okay, so let's dive deeper into fit and match, starting with fit and thinking about like some of the things that might matter to you guys. Um, we will start by zooming in on one of the more fun and interesting aspects of fit, which is school vibe. Um, there's a lot of different ways to try and get a sense of the vibe of a school. Like one way is to check out places where students themselves share their opinions and perspectives, like websites like Niche, for example, will have overviews of colleges, and in one section, like students get to describe the typical student at their school. And in the next couple of slides, I will be sharing like some of the adjectives that students have been using to describe their school. So this is like an activity that we'll be doing. Um, sorry. Okay, so for each of like the school vibes slides that I'm pulling up, can you guys just either put a thumbs up, thumbs down, or like the in between hand emoji to say like whether or not like the school vibe is something that you'd like? So for Northeastern, students describe the average student to be ambitious, busy, involved. Is this something you guys would be interested in using your emojis? Okay, I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up, which is cool. Okay, I have one in between. Okay, wow. I've mostly been getting thumbs ups and in betweens. Okay, cool. Okay, so for the people who did thumbs ups or in betweens, maybe you guys can consider Northeastern. Okay, now for CUNY Baruch, business oriented, diverse, fast paced. What do people think about Baruch? Okay. Grace gave it a thumbs down. Okay. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of thumbs downs. Okay, one thumbs up. Okay, that's totally fine. Like, if you don't vibe with the school's vibe, like you don't vibe, and that's completely fine. Great. We can move on to SUNY New Paltz, which is a school that I hadn't heard of before giving this workshop. There's a lot of different people, hippie, individual. Okay. In-betweens, a lot of in-betweens. A few thumbs down. Okay. Okay, a lot of thumbs down. That's completely fine. Okay. Okay, a lot of thumbs down. Okay, that's okay. NYU, driven, independent, goal-oriented. I got a thumbs up. Okay, a lot of thumbs up for NYU. Cool. Howard University, work hard, play hard, very fun but goal-oriented. How are we feeling about this? Okay, and in between, a lot of thumbs ups, a few in betweens. Okay, that's totally fine. Work hard. Okay. And then our last one is Temple University, diverse, no typical student, everybody is their own person. How are we feeling about Temple? Okay, thumbs ups, thumbs down. Okay, that's fair. A few thumbs down. Okay, cool. Um, Obviously these are just like a few schools that we've done. Julian has sent the link to the niche website where you guys can kind of like explore more of these schools on your own time, but I think it's a really great way to kind of assess like whether or not like you would fit in at a school, whether or not actually be happy at a school just based off the vibe. Great, cool. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go over like how exactly you can annotate on a screen via Zoom because we're going to be doing an activity soon. So on a computer, just look for the green pen button. Um, it's probably gonna be at like the bottom left corner or under the three dots for more options. And then we're gonna be using the stamp option today. Similarly on the phone, just click the pencil icon and then go to annotate and then pick arrow, and then you should be able to access the stamps. Okay, great. So most students, before they actually begin creating their school list um, reflect on their fit factors, and then they actually use that information to help narrow down potential school that they might actually be interested in. So BIT can encompass a vast number of things, everything from schools with vet programs to HBCUs to schools with good spirit. The factors on the slide are just some common things people consider. So, do any of these fit factors feel important to you? And using the Zoom annotate feature, feel free to like just put a check mark, a star, anything you want next to the factors that you think are important to you. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of checks for good financial aid, which is completely valid. Um, Internships, low cost is also important to a lot of you guys. People like me, near home is important to some of you guys. My major, rule, okay. Diverse, I'm seeing a lot more low cost and good financial aid. Okay, cool. And then more for near home. So, um, obviously you guys checked off a lot of different fit factors, and I'm sure like everyone had like different priorities and choosing which factors that they thought were important, and that's completely normal. We'll actually be sending out a self-evaluation form to you guys that kind of goes a little bit more in depth into these things, and it also lists like some other factors that you might find important as well. We'll be sending that out next week. But one of the things that I noticed that you guys all highlighted in this activity and something that many students care about is low cost and good financial aid, and that's something that we're going to be talking about next. Okay, now I'm going to try to clear my screen. Cool. Okay, moving on. Okay, moving on to financial aid. If you guys were here for the Why College workshop, like this slide might be kind of familiar to you, but I think it's really important and useful to kind of like keep the slide and like the resources it provides in mind as you build your list of colleges and universities. So there are a variety of ways to find schools that keep costs low. This includes exploring low sticker price schools, including community colleges, public and state universities, low tuition schools, even tuition-free schools, which are rare but definitely exist. Um, Exploring schools with good financial aid, like schools that meet 100% of demonstrated need, colleges that meet demonstrated need for undocumented students, and obviously like schools that give out great academic merit scholarships for high-performing students, like schools with large endowments and also schools that offer full ride scholarships. Um, these are just some of the schools that will, these are just some of the ways that you guys can potentially pay less for school. And I personally think this is like the best way to make college affordable because you're specifically looking for schools that have really good financial aid. Um, but we'll be sending these slides out, and I recommend you guys kind of go back to the slides so you can like go through all the hyperlinks and just like explore a little bit. I'd also like to note that like financial aid does function a little bit differently for undocumented students, and so like schools with low sticker prices and schools that meet 100% of demonstrated need for undocumented students is a really good starting point. Yeah. Okay, great. So now we'll explore what considering match is and how that's going to look like in your list building process. Okay, so after considering fit and making a list of potential schools that you're interested in, you'll want to make sure that your list includes safety, match, and reach schools, and hopefully like most of the schools on your list will be a match school. I'm just going to quickly go over what each of these terms mean. So a safety school is a school where your GPA, SAT, ACT scores, and overall profile exceeds that of the average student admitted to that school. So we recommend you guys apply to like at least 1 to 2 of these schools. Um, A match school, as we mentioned earlier, is a school where you meet the expectations and have a similar profile to the average accepted student. We recommend you guys apply to at least 2 to 4. And then a reach school is a school where you don't quite meet the expectations or have test scores or a GPA that is a little bit lower than the average accepted student. And we also recommend you guys apply to 1 to 2. So obviously, like the number of schools of each category that you apply to, like doesn't have to be like the exact numbers that we include here. Um, what's most important is to be sure that you have like all three, if is that you guys have schools from all three categories reflected in your list, and you have to have safety schools. If you guys are thinking about attending community college, this is likely a safety option since, like, as I mentioned before, like most of them don't have a minimum GPA requirement and they don't require SAT or ACT. But some programs within these schools, like the nursing programs, might be a little bit more competitive. Um, yeah, and while you don't need to apply to as many colleges if your plan is to go to community college, I encourage you to add some like 4-year schools to your list because like these are usually the schools that give like a lot of financial aid. So I would kind of have that on like the back burner. And if you have your heart set on a school, but your scores are like kind of below their averages, you can still set some academic goals for you this year and also in the fall semester. So like don't give up hope just yet. Great. So now we're going to go over like a helpful tool, which is like an admissions calculator. This tool can help you understand how your academic profile compares to a school's previously admitted students in terms of grades and GPA, things like that. And to use it, all you have to do is make a free account, input your unweighted GPA, input your test scores, and then select a school that you want to kind of like compare your scores to. Um, and they're super helpful because they can compare you match-wise with the data colleges provide on their admitted students. But obviously, like this data is limited because it's exclusively numbers like test scores, GPA. And when admissions officers are looking over your application, like obviously like your grades are important, but like that's not the only thing that they'll be looking at. So that's just like something I'd take with a grain of salt. Um, Also, notice how a variety of scores in the upper end of the graph got rejected and accepted. So, as I said before, like grades aren't everything. Um, I think Julian has put the link of the admissions calculator in the chat. Um, yeah, it's a really helpful tool, but obviously like take the results with like a grain of salt because at the end of the day, like you're only inputting your grades and like you as an applicant is like you're more than just your grade, you know? Okay, great. So now that we've explored both fit and match, let's talk a little bit about how the two fit together when building your college list. Okay, so the goal is to balance fit and match as you start list building. So I like to think of it as kind of like packing your suitcase for a trip. So you know what's needed for the environment where you'll be in, when that like kind of correlates to match, and you know what your favorite clothes are and like what will make you feel good wearing, and that's kind of fit because you want to one get in and two be successful. It's really really important to have like a good balance of the two. So as you research colleges, look at their criteria and research the school to see if it matches your criteria. Okay, great. So now that we know what fit, match, safety, and reach schools are, we're ready to start creating our college list. So the first step is to reflect on your fit factors and get clear on your priorities. So this could be asking yourself questions like, is financial aid important to me? What about location? Then you can create an initial list of schools. One resource that I recommend using is the College Board's Big Future website. Um, they have like a college search function, but I used it when I was making my list and it was so helpful because it lets you like browse through schools via categories like major, campus life, and type. So it's like a great tool to use if you have like absolutely no idea where to start. Um, then you have to make sure that your list is well balanced. So that means having safety, match, and reach schools. We want to have a lot of options because that will like inevitably increase our chances of finding a school that's a good fit academically, socially, and financially. It's also really important to research each school that you're interested in. This will kind of help you find, narrow down, and solidify your list with schools that are right for you and your like for you in terms of like your academic and personal goals. And like just remember like we're here to support you with like every single step of this list. So like if you have any questions at any time, like feel free to reach out. Okay, great. So now we're gonna talk about family, friends, and guardians and like a few instances where like they might have an opinion about your college process. So, just with like a quick show of hands, how many of you have had family or other loved ones who have opinions on where you want to go to school or like where they want you to go to school? You guys can use like the Zoom hand raise function. Okay. Okay, cool. I got like 4 hand raises. That's good. Okay, cool. Um, Obviously, like family can be a rich source of motivation and inspiration, and like family and our loved ones may be able to like guide us through some parts of our path, but like not always through others. So, I think it's really important to kind of just remember that like at the end of the day, when it comes to like what college we attend or like what career we want to pursue, um, like your family and friends like may or may not have opinions, but at the end of the day, like do what makes you happy because like you're the one that's actually going to be going to college, you're the one that's actually going to be pursuing this career. Um, yeah, and I just want to mention that like there's no such thing as normal when it comes to like family. Like all of us have different experiences with our family, and like often it's going to be like a mixture of the good and the difficult. Um, yeah, so like there's obviously like no norm for this as well. There's no normal experience or like universal experience that everyone has. But thank you for like the individuals who like raised their hand before. Okay, great. So can I get a volunteer to please read the slide?
I could do it.
Cool.
Being true to ourselves. What's most important is that we are true to ourselves. For some of us, that may mean drawing upon family motivations or loved ones' desires for us. For others, it may mean choosing to pursue a path that is different than what our families or others may want us to do.
Thanks for reading, Ari. Okay, so as Ari said, being true to a few key things that matter most to us can be really helpful in guiding us in making like the decisions ahead. And as we learn new information, we will most likely have to make adjustments, and that's okay, but like that's an important starting point. But thank you for reading, Ari. Okay, great. So now we're going to talk about like what to do when like there are differences of opinions. Um, it's important to balance listening to ourselves and the perspectives of others. So to do this, you can hear others out, listen, empathize, share the why behind your perspective, share that a college degree increases earnings regardless of major. Hold on to your top fit factors even when others don't understand them. And remember that no matter where you go, success is about taking advantage of the opportunities available to you there. So whether this comes up now or in the future, like here are just like some tips and tricks that you guys can use to navigate the conversation so that like things work out in your favor. And while it's definitely important to like have these conversations with your families, like at the end of the day, like your college preferences should ultimately reflect your own aspirations, interests, and values. So open dialogue with your family allows you to consider their perspective while also ensuring that your choices align with your own goals and dreams because at the end of the day, like you're the ones that are going to be going to college. So trust yourself and just do what's best for you. And if you guys ever need someone to like talk it through with, like definitely feel free to reach out to me. Like that's what I'm here for. Okay, great. So now we have our quick 5-minute break. If our moderator has reached out to ask your name, it's for attendance purposes so that you guys are eligible for the raffle prize. So like please try to get back to Julian. That way you can be included in both today's raffle and the grand prize raffle. But we will be back in 5. Okay. Okay, the 5 minutes are up. Welcome back from the break. So in the last section, we talked about fit supporting you in graduating. And this is important because um obviously like you want to be happy at a school that you're like gonna I'm sorry, I'm just having a really bad brain fart. As I said before, we were just talking about fit supporting you in graduating. Why? Because this means that you've thought about what you might need and looked for schools that have those things to offer. So in the next section, we're going to start to anticipate and learn how to prevent some of the most common challenges that students have while in college. Okay, so Julian is going to put up a poll, but yeah, he just put it up. So look at the statement. Schools should be responsible for providing not only academic support, but also social, emotional, and supportive and physical supports. So like just vote like whether or not you agree with that statement. Okay, cool. So far, it's 100% in agreement. But as you guys can see, 100% of you guys said that you agreed, which is really, really awesome. Um, so would anyone like to share like why they selected agree? And you guys can like either unmute yourself or kind of just like type it in the chat.
Honestly, the reason wait, can you,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So the reason I said that, like I agree, was because I feel like no one can really learn if they're not like in the correct headspace. So I feel like schools should be able to support people to be in the right headspace so they can actually like focus and learn.
Thanks, Blair. That was really good. I completely agree with what you said. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to add? Grace said they agree. Celine said, not only are we attending a school that fits our academic needs and standards, but we are also attending to help us grow as people and individuals. Exactly. Cool. Okay, so as everyone has mentioned, it's obviously really important because the truth is, like, getting into college is only the first step because graduating is the real goal. So finding the right school for you is about finding a college where you'll feel confident, that they'll actually like support you in graduating. And for most students, like what supports them in graduating goes far beyond what they learn in the classroom. So even if we think that colleges should support our physical, social, and emotional needs, will they all? No. And that's what and that's because like what each of us needs is different. But if you are able to kind of reflect on your own needs and look for colleges like where there's alignment, you will find colleges that are really trying to like meet these needs. Um, yeah. So navigating past common challenges. Fun but kind of sad fact, 25% to 30% of students who enroll in college don't graduate. And some of the main reasons that people cite for not persisting is poor academic performance, not sure what they want to study, can't afford tuition or living expenses, and mental/physical health issues. So these are some of the obstacles that college students share that they sometimes don't know how to navigate, and it can lead to students leaving college unnecessarily. However, these shouldn't be like make or break issues because these are all things that you can prevent or like kind of move through. So myself and your other and future LGR coaches are here to help you navigate these challenges. You'll also want to select colleges though that feel like they have the supports that are most important to you, and you'll also want to get yourself in a mindset that will help you like troubleshoot these challenges if they arise. So let's just all take like a minute to reflect to ourselves. Are any of these things on your radar or concerns for you already? So I'm gonna give you guys like 30 minutes to just like reflect and like kind of see whether or not like these things are on your radar. Basically, like in this section, we're just gonna talk a little bit more about like why you don't need to think about like all of these as barriers. So, planning now for your success. So, once you're in college, you have the ability to kind of navigate past issues if they arise. So, what is one thing that you do now that has helped you academically? You guys can like feel free to like respond to this question by like chatting it in or unmuting yourself.
I'd say one thing that helped me academically was probably like it's like envisioning like how I want my future to look like, and then like building motivation off of that. Like, yeah, like I can get there. I can get there. Like
Okay, I love
just by
that. Thanks for sharing, Larry. Okay, Eric said, waking up early so I have some time to study. That's a good one. Okay, someone messaged me time management, even though they're still currently learning on how to perfect that. That's so valid. I'm still not there yet, but it's great that you guys are trying now. Celine said, definitely balancing my personal time and my academic dedications. When I am more personally content, I'm able to perform exceptionally well in my work. Cool. Okay, to-do list, not procrastinating, planning your workout. Cool. Those are all like really, really strong like methods that you guys are using right now. Okay. So, selecting colleges with good institutional support, building your network and communities of support once you're in school and learning things that you can do during any challenging moment that arises will all deepen your capability to navigate past these challenges. And obviously, like you guys are already like implementing strategies right now. So I'm confident that like when these issues arise, like you guys will have the tools necessary to kind of navigate them. Okay, great. So, how to approach learning about schools. So, we've already talked a whole bunch about like things that students shared were like stumbling blocks for them in their college journey. And some of them might feel relevant for you, others not. But basically, summing it all up, these are all like kind of things that you can do to be sure that your preferences are at the forefront. Number one, knowing yourself. So asking yourself questions like, what do you need? Empowering yourself, acknowledging that like you're the one in charge of your own life, persistently researching. So finding out what you need to know about a school, advocating for yourself, asking yourself hard questions if that needs to happen, and listening to yourself because at the end of the day, your opinion matters most. Great. So in the next few slides, we'll be talking about like some of the ways that the supports a school provides can constitute a good fit for you and ensure your success. And these considerations may inform what school you decide to add to your list. Okay, so schools offer different ways of academically supporting their students. Here are some of the things to look for from a school. Free academic tutoring, small class sizes, strong relationships with professors, unique learning opportunities, accommodations for different learning styles and disabilities. So the way that you want academic support will obviously be personal to you. So all of these things may not all resonate or be important to you, but like if one or two of them is, you should definitely look at schools to see that they like provide these resources. I personally utilize my school's tutoring services and like specifically like the physics help room, and that has been really, really helpful to like my success at school. I know a lot of other students at Columbia also use them, so um, yeah, I definitely wouldn't be where I am without the help of like the tutoring services, for example. So yeah, but also something important to know is that like in college, unlike in high school, students generally have to like arrange their own accommodations for like any learning disabilities. So this means providing the college with documentation so that they can set you up with accommodations. So like a common example of this is like if you need extra time on tests, which is like something that can be really helpful, but you'll have to like personally reach out to like an accommodations office if they have one, to kind of make sure that you actually get that extra time on your exams. Great. Okay, now we're going to talk about preparing for your future. Colleges and universities can offer a number of resources to help you explore and develop your post-graduation plans, including academic advising, career centers and fairs, paid internships or research positions, co-op and other hands-on learning programs, and work study programs. So this is just like a list of resources that you might not have thought about already, but are probably worth learning more about. And like many of them, like the research positions and like the co-ops, are ways that you can like kind of make money while in school and build your resume so that like when you graduate, employers will immediately value your experience. Okay, great. So now for health supports. Good physical and mental health support may look like free gym access and or workout classes, free or low cost unlimited mental health support, doctors and mental health professionals of varied identities, health-related support programs or affinity spaces on campus, good, low, or no cost insurance. So if this is on your radar right now, it will kind of allow yourself to like you'll just be able to like set yourself up for success by like only including schools with good mental and or physical health services on your list because like the truth is students often share that college can be a challenging period and stress anxiety is like super common. So if you aren't thinking about these things, um kind of be prepared to learn about like strategies you can do to manage your feelings and know that it's like completely normal to seek out support. So like don't hesitate to do that if you think it's helpful. Sorry, I need to cough. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to move on to campus culture and community. Okay, so consider what real, meaningful, and supportive community might look like for you in college, including extracurriculars and student groups on campus, advocacy and activism on campus, student resource centers, religious life, and faculty and staff involvement. So friends, professors, and staffs at school can all form a part of your support system at college. So obviously like friends at other colleges and older siblings or cousins might be a part of that support system as well, but it's nice to have people like on campus or like at the same school with you to kind of be part of that system. So it's good to think about who's a part of our system right now and kind of reach out to them, um, so you have them in the future if you need them. But it's also really important to consider like what schools might have in terms of like their community and what their community can offer to you. Yeah. So now I'm going to share a little bit about like what's helped me navigate school because like school supports are far from the only thing that will support your success. Things like self-empowerment, communities of support, things that help you unwind, are all really important too. So here are just some of the things that have helped me. I included like a little picture of boba because whenever I study with my friends, I make sure that like I'm having breaks. So like during those break times, I'll like go buy boba, or like sometimes I'll buy a hot chocolate from like the cafe downstairs, and that just kind of like helps me unwind a little bit. I also really like studying with my friends, and this helps me kill two birds with one stone because like one, I'm socializing, but two, I'm also studying. So like that's definitely something I recommend to you guys. And Columbia also, as I mentioned before, has academic tutoring and services. So like that's also something that I use. Um, I also use CPS, which sounds really bad, but it's Columbia Psychological Services. So if any of you guys are interested in a school that has like free counseling services, like you should definitely consider Columbia. Okay, so now we're gonna be moving on into our last section of the workshop. Before we hear from Sarah about what support Let's Get Ready can provide with you next year. So, as much as schools can provide support for you, finding your own path and community will be equally important. And like identifying what will help you have the most fulfilling college experience will help you choose the right school for you. So, to wrap up, we're just going to be thinking about fun and fulfillment. So, um, I'm gonna give you guys like 2 minutes to write like 1 to 2 sentences about your future college self, and basically you guys will just I think Julian should be sending it in the chat soon, but the prompt is during my college time I want to slash will. And I'm gonna give you guys like 2 minutes to kind of finish that sentence. Alicia said, during my college time I will pursue my career of choice and also make new friends and connections. Cool. Tyler said, I would like to study for a degree that would be useful in my college career slash careers. And I would also like to make some friends that will last past college. Cool. Um, cool. I'm seeing a lot of you guys have like a strong emphasis on community and like support systems, which is awesome. Awesome. Okay. Hopefully like this gives you guys like some inspo and like something to look forward to in college, but also like gives you guys like a better idea of like some of the things that like might really matter to you. Like Eric just said that they would want to meet new people and go travel around the world. So like for Eric, for example, like travel abroad programs might be really important. Um, yeah, okay, cool. So today we talked about building a college list and deciding what colleges are right for you. Next year, you guys will be deep in this process and you'll have to make a final decision on where you want to go once you get your acceptance letters. So it can be very, very helpful to have extra support since there's like a lot to do, but Let's Get Ready will be here for you throughout the year as well to support you during college. So I'm going to pass the presentation off to Sarah to share the different support options that you have available to you next year.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amanda. And apologies for having my camera off. I'm not feeling too well. But my name is Sarah. I'm a program manager at Let's Get Ready. I work with coaches like Amanda and other coaches who work with high school seniors. We help high school students navigate the college admissions process and much more. So today I'm just here to share more about what support Let's Get Ready has for you when you are applying to college. So during your senior year. So on the next slide, I'm going to talk about the 3 programs that we have at Let's Get Ready, just to kind of frame it all for you. Currently, you all are in the Access program for juniors. Some of you might already be getting SAT prep and or introduction to the college admissions and financial aid process through text and these workshops. So some of you might have already heard this spiel if you had me or Joe visit your SAT prep class. So apologies if you heard this before. But once you get into your senior year, there are there is the core program, but there are two different options. In general, core coaches will help high school seniors around researching schools, building college lists, completing college applications, navigating financial aid and scholarship applications, and really all the steps that you need to get into and start college. So a lot of the things that you are talking about now with Amanda and workshops and over text, you'll really be putting into action during your senior year. And so we'll have coaches kind of help you through all of those processes. In the Core Plus program, the coach and student mentorship is much more personal and deeper with loads more support. In Core, it's really lighter and really for students who don't need as much support. So what you're getting now with Amanda is the Core program. You're just getting text messages, and she's helping you by responding to any questions or providing any resources. But once you get to your senior year, you're able to opt in for our Core Plus program where you can get calls with your coaches, text, emails, and a bunch more like personalized one-on-one support. And then after you graduate high school and you're rolled into college, there is a success program to help you navigate college in two different options as well. So I'm on to the next slide. Just to briefly kind of go over what you receive in core. All students will be automatically enrolled into core, so you all will be automatically transitioned into this once you get to your senior year, unless you opt in for Core Plus. So some of the supports that you get in this program are weekly texts from our team with reminders, tips, and resources to help you navigate the college and financial aid applications. And whenever you respond to those weekly texts, or just in general with a question, a college student coach will be there to respond, support, and answer any questions that you have. On the next slide, there is an example of a message that we sent out to core students. We sent this out to our seniors this February. But typically our texts aim to inform you about something in relation to your college application timeline. We also encourage students to engage with their coach by asking them a question about their goals, plans, or just a fun icebreaker. We want students to be comfortable enough with their coach to ask any questions they may have whenever they have them. We also just want to make sure that you're doing well overall, inside and outside of school. So this text here, we are providing some information about reviewing financial aid award letters. Seniors around this time are starting to receive acceptances, and some of those acceptances come with financial aid award letters. And we know that these award letters can be intimidating or confusing. So we wanted to make sure students had extra context and links to kind of help them through it. On the next slide, 4 Plus is a lot more in-depth and personalized to each student. So if you think you want more personalized and in-depth support through your college and financial aid application process, then I highly encourage you to sign up for 4 Plus. Your Core Plus coach will be your own dedicated college student coach. They'll get to know you, you'll get to know them, and this really better helps them guide you through the whole process. They do this by personally checking in on you each week with text messages. They do monthly video or phone calls, more if you need, less if you don't. And they really do all of this to make sure that you are on track, as well as address any other concerns that you have. They also keep tabs on anything that you've mentioned and follow up with you regarding those things, like any upcoming events, deadlines, exams, goals, and things like that. But essentially, however much you put into your communication with your coach, you'll receive just as much, if not more, from them. And this program is really for students who want a high-touch relationship with a trained college student who can guide them step by step through the college and financial aid application process, as well as mentor them throughout their senior year, so that they are all around ready for the transition into college. So students who sign up for this program are matched with their coach in September. And this slide is a text example from a Core Plus coach. This coach has checked in on their student personally. This coach knew that the student has been working on their college application essays and reached out just to see how things are going. After hearing things have been well since the feedback the coach provided, the coach wanted to have a deeper conversation and invited them to schedule a call. So a lot of times coaches will reach out to schedule calls with you just to hear more, and it's easier to talk over the phone than over text. So sometimes coaches will do that, but as you can see here, this coach knew that the student was working on something and checked in on them about it. So coaches will often do that too. And so when coaches message students. They take into account where the student is at with their application process, things going on in their lives, or anything that the student had mentioned prior. They then specify their weekly texts around that to ensure that students are all set and ready to move forward. Core Plus coaches are able to do this because their caseload is a lot smaller. So Core Plus coaches only have around 30 students, so they're able to personally check in on each of you. Whereas core coaches will have anywhere between 500 to 1,000 students that they're working with. So it's a lot harder for them to follow up on things. So if you want a coach that can kind of get to know you a lot better and really personalize their support with you, then I highly recommend you sign up for Core Plus. Before I move on though, any questions? I know I sped run this. I'm just used to presenting this. So just let's see. Where and when can we apply for the Core Plus program? Awesome. I have a slide in a few moments that has the link and a QR code that you can use to sign up. And then you can apply now. So on the next slide, I have a student testimonial that is from last year's survey that we got. It's one of many that we get that speaks on the impact of having a Core Plus coach. So this student had said the whole college process seemed overwhelming at first, but my coach was motivating. Whenever I was confused about something, I would ask her, and before I knew all the steps, I was done with the application process. If you need more time or you have questions to think about it, that's totally okay too. But on the next slide, we have the QR code, and Julian will chat in the sign up link for Core Plus. But if you want your own personalized coach, I definitely recommend signing up soon because spots are limited. But if you don't think you need that much support, want that much support, you'll get weekly texts from us in our core program once you start your senior year. But really, this whole presentation is just to kind of emphasize that during your senior year, you will have a lot to do. You have a lot of senior projects, end of year stuff, exams and whatnot. And on top of that, you have to do college applications, financial aid applications, scholarship applications, really a bunch of things. But you don't have to go through it alone. Let's Get Ready is here for you in general. Whether that be with Core or Core Plus, we're here to support you. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'll put my email in the chat. But now I'll hand it back to Amanda.
Thanks, Sarah. Okay. So, in closing, today we talked about some things that you should do in the next coming weeks and months to be getting ready for college applications. So this basically just means looking into your fit factors, researching schools, researching your match schools, and kind of assembling a list that has a good mix of reach, safety, and match schools. Taking these steps today will strengthen your profile and also like result in you making a better impression on colleges because it shows that like you did research. It'll also decrease your stress next year when you actually go to like fill out applications, which trust me, you'll thank yourself for because it's a really, really stressful period and a lot of students are stressed out. I look forward to connecting with you all about the goals that you set. And please reach out to me if you had any questions on like the topics that I went over today because like I would love to like clarify anything. Yeah. Okay, great. So now if you guys could please share your feedback. Your feedback really helps us. We've updated this workshop based off of what students shared in the past. Julian has just posted the feedback form in the chat as well if you can't like use the QR code. And in the remaining 8 minutes that we have, I know that we talked a lot about a lot of different things. So I'm here for any and all questions, whether here like privately via text. Absolutely like no question is silly, and you're probably like not the only one who has a question. So if anyone has a question, like feel free to stay and like ask me those questions. But if you guys are all set and like no one has any questions, like you guys can feel free to leave now.